I still remember the night I walked away from my marriage. It was the kind of pain that dulls your senses, like standing in the ocean and realizing too late that a massive wave is about to crash over you. The air felt too thick, my breath too shallow. I had been suspicious for a while, of course. When a marriage starts to fall apart, you can feel it long before the final crack splits it in two. I found out the truth on a random Tuesday evening. My now ex-husband, Nick, was in the shower, and his phone was on the nightstand. Something inside me, a voice I had been ignoring for years, told me to look. And there it was, undeniable proof of his affair. Text messages, late-night rendezvous, secret plans. He wasn't just cheating on me. He had been living a double life. I walked out of that house with nothing but my purse and my keys, too numb to think about what came next. I drove straight to my parents' house, thinking, hoping, that if nothing else, they would be my refuge. After all, isn't that what parents are supposed to do? But when I stood on their doorstep, tears streaming down my face, they didn't welcome me in. They didn't even hesitate before turning me away. Nick is still your husband. Marriage isn't something you just walk away from, my father said. I told them everything. That he had cheated, that I had seen the proof with my own eyes. But they already knew. Nick had called them before I arrived. He confessed his infidelity, but instead of supporting me, they sided with him. One person alone doesn't ruin a marriage, my mother added. You worked too much, neglected your duties as a wife. Maybe if you had been a little more present, this wouldn't have happened. The betrayal cut deeper than Nick's affair. My own parents, the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally, chose him over me. I turned away from their doorstep that night, and I haven't looked back in 5 years. Nick and I had been together since childhood. His parents were friends with mine, so we were bound to cross paths. We dated on and off during high school, broke up, got back together, and by the time we were 22, our families decided it was time for us to settle down. It wasn't a romantic proposal. It wasn't even a decision we made ourselves. It was expected. You two have been together for so long, my mother had said. Why keep wasting time? I wasn't sure I wanted to marry him, but I told myself love wasn't always about excitement. Love was steady. Love was practical. Love was about making things work. But Nick and I fought. A lot. It started small. Little arguments about chores, family gatherings, work schedules. But soon the fights became something bigger, something more vicious. He accused me of prioritizing my career over our home. I accused him of never taking responsibility for anything. Then he cheated. And when I finally walked away, my parents acted as though I was the one who had failed. I had nowhere to go. The house was still technically mine, but I refused to step foot in it again. Please, I had begged my parents. Just for a few days. I need time to figure things out. You're making a mistake, my mother said. Marriage requires patience. You can't just leave when things get hard. They didn't even try to comfort me. Instead, they reminded me of every flaw, every perceived mistake, every reason why I was to blame. I left their house with nothing but my pride. My best friend took me in, let me cry on her couch, and helped me find a lawyer. In 2 weeks, I had filed for divorce and found an apartment. My parents never checked in on me. Instead, they called to scold me. You're ruining your life, my father said. Nick still loves you. He's trying to make things right. I blocked them after that. If they didn't want me when I needed them most, I didn't need them now. Healing took time. At first I threw myself into work, keeping myself too busy to feel lonely. But slowly, I started rebuilding my life. Then, I met Charlie. It was supposed to be just another night out with friends, another casual dinner at a nice restaurant. He introduced himself with a warm smile and an easy confidence. At first, I thought he was just another diner flirting with me. Then, I found out he owned the place. Charlie was everything Nick wasn't, kind, supportive, and secure in himself. We took things slow. He knew about my past, about my trust issues, and he never once made me feel like I had to rush. 3 years later, he proposed. I posted our engagement online, not thinking much of it. But a few days later, my parents emailed me, "Congratulations on your engagement. We've missed you." I ignored it, but then another email arrived. "We've read about Charlie and his family. You've made a great match." And there it was, the real reason they suddenly cared. It wasn't about me, it was about the man I was marrying. The wealth, the prestige. I blocked them again. Days later, they showed up at our apartment. Charlie answered the door, his expression unreadable. He knew what they had done. He knew what they had said, and he didn't like them. "We're here to make amends," my father said. "We don't want you to think we only care about Charlie's wealth." I stared at them, waiting for something, anything, that felt real. But then my father added, "You shouldn't let your ego get in the way of family." Ego? I laughed. Told them they weren't welcome, that they had abandoned me when I needed them most, and that I wasn't interested in playing happy family now. As I turned to close the door, my father called out, "Nick and his wife are very happy. Maybe if you hadn't been so self-absorbed, your marriage wouldn't have failed." Charlie didn't let me respond. He turned to them, his voice cold. "If you still support the man who cheated on your daughter, you don't deserve to be here." Then he shut the door. My grandparents called later saying I should apologize. "Your parents made mistakes, but they love you. But love isn't words. Love isn't an empty apology. Love is action. And they had already shown me what their love looked like. Conditional, selfish, and fleeting." I married Charlie a few weeks later. My parents weren't there. My grandparents weren't there. And I didn't care. Charlie's family welcomed me with open arms. Because family isn't about blood. It's about who stands beside you when the storm comes. And my parents? They had left me out in the rain a long time ago, said nothing else many. Of you may say I shouldn't have hosted them during their last visit. Some may say I should have called the police, but that would have simply increased anger and hatred, causing more drama. I like this technique better. I don't think I'll ever be close to my parents, but we don't fight. Neutrality seems ideal for everyone, thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.